Hi all. Jean here. How are you guys doing today? I hope you are having a beautiful Saturday wherever you are, or if this is Saturday when it lands for you, because I tend to do a video every day, but I've been, batching some of my videos as well. And I am saging this YouTube streets today. I love saging, it puts me in a space of well, just the scent of sage alone is so beautiful. Like it just helped clean the space, it helped cleans me, it helped clean you, that are here with me today. And I am so grateful that I'm here, right? So don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. As I say, subscribing to my channel is going to help me in all the ways. It is free for you to do. You might be surprised when you're watching my videos. You can put it in the background and just listen to it, let it run, so that you are helping me. You're helping the algorithm. You're helping me to get more subscribers, and it is free. But you would be helping me in such a way that I have to tell you now, thank you. I'm so grateful that you subscribe to my channel. I know people are always saying it is so hard to ask. And yes, it might feel like it is hard to ask, but there's only one way really and truly to get what you want. You got to ask for it. Or even if you're going out there, you have to ask for it. So no matter what business you're in, what company you're in, what you're doing, each and every one of us is selling something every day. Us entrepreneurs and content creator, we are selling who we are in a way. That's what we're doing, right? We're selling our content. We are selling ourselves. Yeah, yeah, and mainly all the big companies, everybody is out there asking you to buy their stuff, and you go out and you do that without even thinking twice about it. So what I'm saying is that it's okay for you to give your money to big, company and big corporation. But guys, it is also okay to help the person that is just on the beginning stage of their journey. As a matter of fact, your help means so much more to me than the big company that has already established themselves and making money. So helping me, it would be of service. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Anyways, I want to share with you, like I want to give you three things, right? So three ways you can actually start um on your alignment journey. So you want to be aligned in your life, alignment has a lot to do with I was just speaking on alignment yesterday and really looking up the spiritual meaning of alignment. And alignment is basically, it is saying that you are consciously integrating your mind, your body, your spirit, your higher self, your soul purpose, the universal divine energy. All of that is alignment. And it is so important that when you get in alignment, you do not have to force, you do not have to force yourself to manifest the things that you want. It means that your vibrational energy, what you're putting out into the world is higher, so you get a higher vibrational energy. And to manifest, you need that higher vibrational energy. Now, I don't really speak too much in manifestation just because there is so many people out there talking about manifesting and manifesting this and the universe that and the universe this. Believe me, the universe is not out to get you. So if something do not happen for you, it's not necessarily it's because the universe doesn't want to give it to you. It is because you're not in alignment. It is simply because you're not in alignment. So you cannot say, oh, the universe is kind of stopping me. I hear people say that a lot, like, oh, I want to do X, Y, and Z. And then, but this thing happened. And I know that's the universe stopping me from getting where I want to go. Actually, you are gaslighting yourself with that bullshit. Yeah, you heard me right. You are gaslighting yourself with this bullshit. 9 out of 10 times, when you are seeking something new, or there is something that you haven't done before that you want to do, it is usually a little bit challenging for the said reason that you haven't done it before. So it can be challenging, it could be uncomfortable, and sometimes, if we really want to talk about the universe is stocking things up in front of you to make sure that that is exactly what you want. So all the obstacles that you get, it's like it's the universe talking these things up. So and the universe is saying, are you sure you want this? Because if this is what you want, you have to go through X, Y, and Z. For instance, what come to my mind is that normally we don't get up one day and then just start driving. It is something that we have to learn to do. And it is uncomfortable and it could be challenging because you have never driven before. So you have to go through a learner's process. Sometimes, you have your parent help you learn, or you learn on your own, or you actually still have to get, a driver's ed person to teach you how to drive. And that is never comfortable. Could you imagine you want to drive so much and you don't know how to drive, and you get your learner's information and you go and you start to drive and you realize how challenging it is to just start. You have to make sure you stay on the right side of the road. Yeah, that's the first thing. You have to make sure you stay on the right side of the road. You have to make sure you know when to brake, when it's time to brake. You have to learn to reverse. You have to learn to parallel parking. And let's not even talk about parallel parking. You have to be on the road with a set of other people that we call all different kind of names because they're in the way, or, they causing you, the kind of stress. You want to get out of the car and walk away. Right? So learning to drive is not an easy feat. I remember when my brother years ago was teaching me to drive, and mainly at one point he stopped in the middle of the road, and technically, actually, I just get out of his car because he was being an ass and I didn't know how to drive. So I was freaking out. He couldn't deal with my freak out. So mainly I got out. And then it took me another good probably 10 years after that before I got into a car and seriously learned to drive. And when I did, and yeah, and this memory is coming up now, I actually got my driver's license in my 40s when I turned 40. And I make a real conscious decision to learn to drive. I decided that I'm going to learn to drive, and it is something I'm going to do no matter what. And I failed a couple times. I failed, I think, about 3 times. And I remember the last time when I did get my license, what I did, I said to my husband at the time, he's my ex right now, I said to him, we are going out and practice driving every single day until I go for my exam. Every day until I get my exam. So every day after work, I would be driving. And that's what we did every day, no matter how he feels, no matter how he felt, no matter how I was feeling, no matter what was going on between us. Every single day for about 3 weeks, we go out driving. And that actually did pay off. Like literally it paid off. I got I passed my exams. Right? So in a way, to really understand and to be in alignment, you really have to do the work to get into alignment. And when you get into alignment, then manifestation becomes pretty much simpler. And so when you when you're looking at the things that you need to release, because to get into alignment, there is all your trauma and your drama and all the things that happen in your life at some point. You need to release a lot of that to make it to a higher vibration, because most of us live in the lowest vibration, the vibration where we complain, we are negative, we cannot start a conversation in a positive way. Or the other thing we do, we become over positive, which is not even real or true. We tap into the spiritual bypassing. We do the spiritual bypassing by, oh, I'm so positive and I'm just going to think positive today. And if you don't know what's going on in your mind, literally, if you do not know what is going on in your mind, you would not be able to manifest or to be in alignment with your own life. You have to know what's going on in your mind. You have to get in touch with the unconscious ness that is happening in your mind. Have you ever heard about the unconscious bias that people do and they don't know that they're doing because it's such an unconscious thing that they're not thinking about it? It's just running in their mind, right? You really need to become aware of that. You have to become aware of your unconscious biasness. And so, an example that I'm going to give is the example of the iceberg. And I know that you may have heard that example before. So, what is an iceberg? Well, an iceberg is something that you don't see. It's in the ocean. It's usually up, around Alaska, around the North Pole, all these areas, where there is a lot of ice and all, people go these areas a lot, right? And sometimes boat would actually kind of crash into icebergs. They don't do that anymore as they used to before, because I am assuming that all boats now have a detector that detect when there is iceberg around, because so many of the boats in them now um, have gone, traveling, through spaces that do have icebergs, right? So of course they have detectors and they have their scientific things that can actually show them that, icebergs is in the area. It's not like the Titanic, back then in the days when they didn't have all those systems that can detect what is underneath the ocean. So the iceberg is the part that you see on top. So if this is the iceberg, you're basically only going to see my fingers. You're only going to see my fingers. You're not going to see the rest of my hands. So I'm just going to show you this part, because this part would be the top of the iceberg, and then all of this is the bottom of the iceberg, right? Everything you see now, bottom of the iceberg. So in a sense, our unconscious mind is what's below our conscious mind. It's what's below the iceberg, right? So I was just looking up here as well. Yeah, so I was just looking up here what it means to even be conscious. So to be conscious is to be aware of yourself. It is to be aware of your thoughts, your feelings, your surrounding, your experience, the world, and your own existence. Essentially being awake and responsive rather than asleep and unresponsive. So that is being conscious. You awake in the world. So, how do we go? Before I get into how do we go from being unconscious to actually sorting out your consciousness and understanding that the unconsciousness is actually underneath the unconsciousness is underneath your consciousness. So the unconsciousness is underneath. I hope I'm explaining this properly. But before we go into that, I need to say that to get into alignment, you have to look at the things that is in the bottom, right? So you have to look at your blame, which is, you have to look at your shame and you got to look at your judgment and anything else that is underneath there, right? So your blame, your shame, your judgment, you have to have an understanding of how do I tap into um how do I tap into and understand my get my unconscious to become my consciousness, right? How do I become awake? How do I release all the things that is in my system? So for instance, you say you need to start dealing with the things that you're ashamed of. Now for me, one of my shame that I probably wouldn't want to share with you guys today is the shame that, oh my God. So I consider myself to be very healthy. I have a good well-being kind of life. I sleep good. I wake good. I walk a lot. I do yoga. And now I actually have a personal trainer, so I'm getting healthy from the outside. I've seen a naturopathic doctor. I've seen my regular doctor. I've taken all my food sensitivity tests. I am eating a lot cleaner and all the things. But here is the problem I really have. I do have, I don't have, my gut is not suffering as much anymore because I've been working on this now since November of last year. But the thing that happens to me is that I would go and I would be lying around, and I'll usually sometimes have dinner around 4 p.m. in the evening, sometimes 4, 5 p.m. I'm having dinner. So I usually have dinner early. So what happens is that by around 9 o'clock, I would just get up off the bed instead of going to sleep and decide that I want something to eat. I'm like, oh my God, I need something to eat. Sometimes I'm not even hungry, but I snack at night. So I'm a nighttime snacker. And that is something I don't wish to tell anyone. But I had to. I had to tell my hypnotherapist that my hypnotherapist that this is something that I do. So in a sense, I share this in a very safe environment. I share this with someone who can help me. So if there is something you're ashamed of, it's important to share it with someone who can help you, you know? The other thing that I'm really ashamed of sometimes is that my hair is thinning now that I'm getting older. And so braiding it could be a problem, right? They fall off the braids and all the things. And that is something that, speaking on it, sharing it, I'm releasing myself from that. So it's no longer kind of harassing me. I can be kinder to my hair, right? The most important thing too is you don't want to blame others. You don't want to blame other people for your happiness. My brother has a way of using humor humor that is very insulting. So he would insult me and say that it is a joke. He would insult me and say this is a joke. And I used to allow this to get me really upset. Like, oh my God, like I cannot deal with him. What type of person is that? When you call him, he doesn't really get back to you and all the things. And one day I just decided, you know what? This is how my brother show up in the world. This is not how I show up in the world. I no longer have to blame him for who he is and how he show up in the world because this is not how I show up in the world. When I show up in the world, especially in his world, I show up with love. I show up with sentence like, you know what? I love you. You're my brother, you know. And I also show up with what we call boundaries, please do not insult, you are insulting me and that doesn't really feel very good. So have some boundaries with that, right? But I still show up in a loving, kind way because it is important for me to have that relationship with my brother. So I show up in a nice, kind way. The other thing is, and I'm giving you this tree example, like shame and blame and judgment. And judgment is when if you are a person that is really deep inside of your own self-judgment, then that means you're judging everybody, you're judging the world. When you can stop judging yourself, automatically judging others is going to fall by the wayside. Because every time you judge someone, you're judging yourself. So when you can think about it like that, like I don't want to judge Tom, Dick, and Harry, because if I'm judging them, in some ways, I'm judging myself. So the three things that can keep you on a very low vibration is, again, it's shame, it's blame, it's judgment, especially self-judgment. And the list could run on, anger, self-deprecation, insults, all the things. The list can go on and on and on. But I think the biggest one is the things that we have in the closets, the shame that we cannot bring forth, the stories that we believe is, only us. This happened only to me. So therefore I cannot share it because I don't feel shame in the world. You may be on drugs, right? Or you may have been in a mental hospital. I have been in a mental hospital a long, long time ago when I was in my 20s. But, and that had, that shame had stayed with me for clearly more than 25 years until I wrote my memoir. I wrote a book called Secret of an Island Girl, the year in which I went in and out of a mental institution. And that shame had stayed with me for a long time. But when I wrote my book and I put it out into the world, I self-published, I released myself from that shame. I can have the conversation. There is no reason for me to be ashamed. My mind is solid and sound, and I spend many years healing that time of my life and that aspect of my life. Many, many years. So when it comes to the first thing that you have to do, really and truly, the first thing that you really have to do to eliminate or to get yourself in alignment, to understand your unconscious vibe, to release your unconscious vibe and get into the unconscious and to get woke, like the people say these days. We are woke. I don't even know what that means, but I guess you're awake, right? As it says here, consciousness means to be aware of yourself. Your awareness, when you can be aware of yourself, that is one of the ways, actually, that is one of the most important way to be, to be in alignment, to find alignment within your own self. And how do you do that? Many people tell you to meditate, and yes, you can meditate. That there's a way of meditating. They say go do yoga, maybe go chanting, you can pray. Well, one of the biggest one is to journal a lot, like to release to journal. And that is very important, to offload all your mental clutter, to put it down on pen and paper. But maybe you're not a journaler. It's not everybody that love to journal. I personally, at this point in my life, I don't journal. I used to a lot, because when I spent my time at the ashram, when I was going through my own um, awakening and my becoming aware of who I am in the world, I did a lot of journaling, especially um, evening journaling. It's called self-reflection. So you can do self-reflection by actually even videotaping yourself and, reflecting what is on your mind and listening to it. Or you can do it by audio, just, doing a voice audio, just letting everything out into the audio. Or you can take a walk and do that as well. But that is not what I'm going to share with you as how to become aware. The number one, and I'm going to say it again, the number one way to become aware of the thoughts that is running unconsciously in the background of your mind, the thoughts that is running underneath the iceberg, or the thoughts that is actually the iceberg, the number one way to do that is actually to sit with yourself. And this is not a meditation. You want to sit, you want to take a timer, you want to put the timer on for at least 5 minutes. Or if that is too much, you want to put the timer on. Say you're going to start for 2.5 minutes. You put a timer on and you do what is called mind watching. So you sit with yourself and you watch your mind. Mainly, what you're doing is you listening to your thoughts. But to listen to your thoughts, the idea is you have to sit and watch your mind. And you watch in your mind for 2.5 minutes. You can sit with your eyes closed. You may want to have a pen and paper because you may want to write down what comes up. So you sit with your eyes closed and you watch your mind. So I'm going to just do this for just for a second because I'm going to actually watch my time here while I sit and, watch my mind. So what is happening for me as I watch my mind, I can hear myself counting. Because I'm not looking at the time and I don't really want to sit here silently for you to run away. So after you sit for 2.5 minutes and you write down what came, you want to put the timer on for 5 minutes and you want to do the same thing. You want to sit quietly, you want to close your eyes and you are watching your mind. You're literally watching what your brains do. And ultimately, what you're going to find is there's a lot of nonsense that is going to come to your mind because at first, as soon as you sit to watch your mind is going to go blank. Because guess what? I think your mind is like, oh my God, somebody is watching me. And we know how we behave when we think that people are watching us, right? We try to be very stoic. We want to disappear, we want to hide, like I want to do right now. Um, but anyway, you sit and you watch your mind for 5 minutes. And you may have thoughts like, oh, I have to go buy something in the store. I need to get bread. The oven might be on, or I don't know, did I leave the light on in the washroom while I'm sitting here? Where is the children? Whatever you have, you want to watch your mind. And after 5 minutes, you want to actually write out all that you remember that comes in from your mind. And then you want to do a 10 minutes of that, right? Now, one of the things, it's the best thing to do is to do it for a few days. You don't have to do it forever because it's going to come naturally to you because you're going to become aware. It's going to become a natural thing that you do, watching your mind. I watch my mind like a hawk, like literally, I watch my mind like a hawk. Because now that I know, I understand this is where my awareness comes. So I'm always watching my thoughts, right? So when you can watch your mind and watch your thoughts, you are raising your unconsciousness to into consciousness. It's like the boat. You now have a detector. You can detect, the iceberg when you come into it. You can detect it. And so an example I'm going to give for that. So I didn't think, I spent a lot of time in with the indigenous people here in Canada and in the indigenous community, not in the well, actually I spent it in one particular community, but I spend a lot of time with them. I go sweat lodge almost every 2 weeks, so I'm in ceremony all the time with indigenous people. I am in their community. I'm breaking bread and eating and having banak and all the things, right? Communicating. They are my family, they are my friends. However, I think about must have been in 2022. I can tell you exactly. It was 2022. It was summer of 2022. I decided to take a serving breakfast. I was serving breakfast. It's a job. I decided to take a job serving breakfast in one of the bigger hotels in town. They have a big dining room, and they get a lot of tour groups that comes in to, for breakfast in the morning time. In the summer, Banff here get a lot of people. So in the morning time, sometimes we have to serve 200 people, 150 people, almost, every day throughout the summer because we get such huge tour groups. Most times we're serving more than one or two tour groups at a time. And one morning, I remember, I think it must have been a Saturday morning, it was a weekend morning, and I pick up my coffee from the coffee station because some indigenous people came to sit and have breakfast. I think they were going for a meeting in Lake Louise. So they came to sit to have breakfast. And they were sitting on a table by the window. And it was about five of them sitting there, and they were all elders. They were all elders. And when I pick up my coffee mug, my coffee craft, or whatever you call it, to go and serve them coffee. So, for instance, I had a little bit of a distance. I say, for instance, I had to walk, what I would say about 100 feet. I don't know how long that is because, I am not good at math. So you have to figure it out. Anyway, so I had to walk from my station over to where their table was. And I started walking and I look up and I noticed that that's who I'm going to serve. And I heard I heard my voice said, "Oh my God, I can't believe I have to serve them." Those, I had a swear moment. I had a moment that it was so brutal, the thought that I had about those people, who is people that is my people, that it stopped me in my track. Like literally, I stopped and take a moment to address myself. I was like, wow, this is what was unconscious in my mind. And literally, it just surfaced and it stopped me in my track. And what it told me was to put a smile on my face, and not just a plastic smile, to be genuine with my smile, because these people are people that I love and I care about, and that have taught me so much. So I was able to really put myself in a space of, saw my thought, and yeah, I saw the iceberg. That was an iceberg, and I saw it. So, my awareness detect that so that I can look at it and go, okay, we have to, you know, um, what is it that Suri always say? We have to redirect, take a redirection. So I had to redirect my thought into a pleasant place. So by the time I got to the table, I was able to say, without that, that negative thing, I was able to go, "Good morning, how are you folks doing? Here is your coffee. I'm your server. If there is anything you need, please let me know. I hope you guys have a nice day." So I was able to be very pleasant to those people. And this is the thing that I'm saying. When you sit and watch your mind and you see how much thoughts that is useless, that is running through your mind, and you become aware of it, because becoming aware of your thoughts, that's how you become conscious. So if your automatic thought is negative, you are going to really become aware of that negativity. And then, therefore, as the iceberg, you can redirect yourself to a place of positiveness. But you have to sit and you have to get and understand what that is. So, we can meditate, yeah, but when you're meditating, it's a whole different process. People are meditating to empty their mind. And meditation is not really about emptying your mind. And that's why when you sit down and you hear all the noise in your head, you get up and you want to run, because you're like, "Oh my God, what is that?" So before you even decide to become a meditator, you want to become aware of your thoughts and your mind. So mind watching is the number one thing to do. So I'm going to wrap up here. Really, in what I'm saying, really and truly, is that some of your lowest vibration, which is blame, shame, and judgment, those are the three that I want to bring up. You may have all the others, heartbreak, whatever, all the things that sink you into sickness, that sink you into your lowest vibration, you know, abuse, childhood abuse, all these things that sink you into that vibration, um, you must clear it. You must clear it. So you have to get the awareness. You have to clear. You may want to clear all of that first before you even sit to start watching your mind. So you can, again, the best way to clear is to find someone that is very safe for you, and you and that person can, you know, have some clarity. That's the best ways to clear. So I hope this video has given you something to really think about, to sink your teeth into. And when I say, I think earlier I may have mentioned 3 ways or something, but the 3 things, you know, the 3 things that you have to look at. Again, the biggest things is when you're blaming, you're shaming, you shame, you're blaming, and you have judgment. But I think our shame is our biggest block to what we need in life. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you stayed and watched the whole video. Thank you for showing up and watching my video. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate you a lot. You have yourself a good rest of the day. And please remember to do less, but be more. Righty, guys, have a good one. My biggest thing I say in the end of my video is that I do not edit my video. And no matter what you tell me, I'm not about to edit my video right now. So you can get off anytime because I'm going to move forward to stop my video.